thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Really fantastic to see the kind of variety of community organisations that have come along today. So yeah, feeling really privileged to be able to spend the morning with you guys and share a bit of a spotlight on business partnerships that we have worked on, and hopefully give you a bit of a better understanding on how to harness business partnerships with the private sector. So just a bit of an overview of what we're going to cover, so that if it's not for you, you may leave now, no offence taken, but you are pre-warned. So we're going to go over a little bit about what is social value, what has brought us all here today, and the underpinnings of it. Why social value is important to BAM. So our drivers, what's making us want to do it, our core values that we have as a business, but the external drivers that are mandating us to do social value. Then we're going to go into a little bit about a place-based approach and BAM's take on a place-based approach and what that means. And then we're going to have a think about successful business partnerships. So how to ask, what they look like, and then how to get out and start creating them. And then there will be a bit of time for questions. So if you pop them in the chat, Richard will nicely collate them, hopefully.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't think I'll be able to see them, but just a quick one on abbreviations. I did used to work for the voluntary sector, so I know that you guys love abbreviations, but I think we also love abbreviations in social value. So if I use one, please call me up and I can quickly explain what it means if you guys don't know. So I thought it might be nice to give a bit of a background, seeing as we're about to spend the next hour and a half together, and a little bit about me. So a massive passion of mine, which I think is bringing us all here together really, is social justice, volunteering, and championing social injustice. So yeah, I think that's a really important thing, isn't it? Beyond sectors, we're all here because we have a core belief that social justice does need to be championed appropriately, and whether that's through volunteering or your day-to-day job. So just a bit on my education background. So I have a BA degree in sociology from the University of Sheffield. Really lucky to have enjoyed my degree, but even luckier to be able to use it every day. So whether that's from the research that we do in terms of procuring work, all the way to data collation, all the way to understanding how social groups work together and applying sociological theories to my current job. So that's a bit of a background in terms of my personal drivers and interests. And then just a bit on why I think Richard has asked me here today, my work background. So previously I worked for Business in the Community on a project called Sheffield Business Together with the Chamber of Commerce. This was a project that is a first of its kind project. So really what we did is we had cross-sector collaboration. So that's between the public, private and third sector coming together. So my job was kind of as a brokerage coordinator. So I'd go into the communities, create those asks, and then go out to my business network and find the appropriate match. So yeah, I did some fantastic things at Sheffield Business Together. And then I thought, you know what? Yeah, I'll try my hand at the private sector and kind of think about how we can deliver through the private sector. So my job at BAM is to research, coordinate, and then deliver social value. I work on tenders. So I'm sure some of you have worked in tenders and you know the absolute joy that it brings. And then I work with internal and external stakeholders, expressing the importance of social value. But then I also work on the side of working with charities and delivering some really meaningful, tangible legacy projects within the localities that we're building. A bit more than that, I am a cook and a runner. So when I realised I was writing this down a really high level CV and now I'm reading it out, it feels even more like a high level CV. So just a little bit about me and my background. So BAM, who are we? We are an international company. and the mothership actually sits in the Netherlands. We have offices all over the world, including Antarctica. We develop, design, construct, refurbish, and operate buildings. Oh, I think someone might not be on mute, just thinking for recording purposes. But bless you, whoever that was. I hope you aren't suffering with a cold too much. So we primarily work in public and private sectors. So that is our client. We have a key client suite, which we like to align with. And within the company, we have construct. So that's where I sit. So we do a lot of schools and hospitals, is a really key client for us. So we work a lot with the Department of Education, and then joint ventures. So some of you might know about Transpennine Route Upgrade. That was a bit of a mouthful. So from Manchester all the way through to York, that is a really big piece of longitudinal work that we're doing. And then the civils part of our business is also known as BAM Nuttall. So that works with bridges, groundwork. So there's a picture on the top right there of Ordsall Bridge. So that's near the Aviva Studios in Manchester, which is a piece of work we did. And then the facilities management. So once the building gets built, who looks after it? That is also a part of the business that we operate and work with them. So we have 5,400 employees just in UK and I, so not many, and we've got 170 live projects. So we're really, really busy, but with that busyness comes a lot of goods that we are able to do. So just a couple pictures. I chose the ones from Manchester or the general GM area and a little bit beyond in Lancashire, just so that you guys will maybe recognise some of them. So top right, we've got Blackburn. That's actually a previously homeless chap who's now doing an apprenticeship that we managed to enable through one of our supply chain, Co-op Live. Down at the bottom, we've got Manchester 1, which you did quite a long time ago, but that's also a cooperative building. And then Manchester, New Islington Marina, which is located in Ancoats. And then, as I mentioned, Transpennine Route Upgrade. That's obviously not the whole thing. That's just a very small part of it. So what is social value? Why are we doing it? And what is the definition of it, really? I was going to ask if anyone wanted to have a go at defining what they think it is. I don't know if for editing purposes that might not be best. Richard, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Yeah, that's fine. Go for it, Casey.
Does anyone want to have a go at defining what social value is? Pop their hand up. It's fine if not, because I guess that's probably why I'm here to tell you what it is. So in terms of social value UK define it as social value is a broader understanding of value. It moves beyond using money as the main indicator of value, instead putting the emphasis on engaging people to understand the impact of decisions on their lives. So what does social value mean to BAM? We at BAM, social value and our mission for social value is creating social value delivers lasting social impact, is central to the way that we do business. The nature of the work we do plays a huge role in the social, economic, environmental aspect of people's lives, and this presents us with an opportunity to ensure we create sustainable and meaningful benefits. Just gonna take a quick sip. So why do BAM do this? You know, you're probably thinking, what benefit is it bringing apart from, reduced revenue or, lack of interest if it's not in their sector or their nature? Well, it's actually really, really important to us, probably more than meets the eye or the tip of the iceberg. So a massive driver for us is client. So client no longer thinks it's acceptable, and it's not to build a building and leave it. We want to do more. We want to create a legacy. So our client is often mandating an additional value beyond the building that we're working on. And I'm going to keep on saying building because I work in construction, not civil. So in my mind, it's going there. Beyond that, it's tied up in the Social Value Act of 2012. So the procurement policy note 0620 obligates us to do this. So we're mandated. Shortly, though, keeps on getting pushed back, we will be seeing a new type of procurement act come in, and we will have to continue to work towards under harsher restrictions to deliver this. Staff wellbeing, this is a really, really important one. So 78% of senior execs think that it contributes to the value within an organisation, and it really does. It's the underpinnings. You know, people within my generation don't want to work, over 80% don't want to work in an organisation anymore that doesn't contribute to CSR in any way. So that's really important. You probably see a lot of corporates now offering a volunteer day as a part of their offering to staff, and that's because it is really important to retention rates and that staff wellbeing piece, contributing to a wider, nicely led into legacy. So this is really important. So we want to work with our communities and we want to create a legacy impact. And this is to make sure that we're offering the community something more than the building. If we're coming in and we're being disruptive, we want to make sure that we're working with them so they understand our brand and that we're positively generating more social return on investment with the building that we're putting in. So sustainability, again, is another really important part and really underpins. So at BAM, we called social value social sustainability, and it is that piece of ESG, CSR that really we are driving forward, and we're seeing more and more, and especially in BAM, our strategy is really geared towards that sustainability piece. So profitability, you might think this is crazy, but businesses who engage in corporate social responsibility or social value are more profitable because of the work that they're winning, because it's up to 20% of the bids that we tender now. It can be up to 20%. So when you go towards a bid, you have quality questions and cost questions, and it can be 20% of those quality questions. So it's really considerable. But more than that, because of staff retention, that profitability is why I've put it on there. Competitors. I'm sorry, everyone's in the corner, so I'm trying to see behind, but I remember I've put competitors. So our competitor analysis shows us that we are needing to be working on the same level as our competitors, because we don't want to lose staff and we don't want to lose work. But also we need to make sure that we're keeping and retaining people within the construction industry. And this really leads us on to my next point about the next generation. So the Construction Industry Training Board estimates over the next 5 years, we need 50,000 people per year to be entering the construction industry. So that's 250,000 over the next 5 years. So how we build our brand and the community that we work in is so important to make sure that we are engaging people into the industry so that we can continue doing these really important things like social value and environmental sustainability. So a bit on a place-based approach. This was really underpinned at BITC when I was working with them. So BITC define it as placemaking as a long-term and transformational change in a particular geographical location. For us, it is underpinned by some core principles. So collaboration. So this was really important at Sheffield Business Together, and it's that public, business and VCSE cross-sector collaboration. So we often do this within construction when we're working with our client who might be public sector, VCSEs or CICs or community groups, and making sure we're working with our businesses. So business leadership, so that's getting people like ourselves at BAM to share an agenda and bring their expertise into this place-based approach. And community needs led. This is so important, and it's about the place that you are entering. What is the need? understanding the crux of what that place needs and how business input, financial or expertise can benefit the community and how you're going to tackle it. So place-based approach is really a longitudinal approach to transformational strategic change. You probably need about 10 years to do that. At Construct in BAM, we aren't there for 10 years, unfortunately, more often than not. Sometimes we are. So we do something a little bit different. We call it a local needs analysis. So this is a piece of research that we do and we conduct at tender stage to inform our offer to the community and also the client. So the client and community obviously work hand in hand, especially if you're working with local councils. They will have an understanding of what is needed within a certain locality. So that's reading through lots of government reports, index of multiple deprivations. I'm sure you guys know these reports really well, if not have conducted them yourselves. So we read those and we digest them to make sure that we are having the correct impact on the community. So that is a quantitative piece of research that we do. And then beyond that, I like to go into the community and ask the qualitative questions. What are you seeing come through the door? I'll give an example of when we were starting up our site in Blackburn, met a lovely lady called Donna. She works at CVS in Blackburn with Darwin. And I asked her what are the prevalent social issues they're seeing come through the door. And she raised that domestic violence was significantly prevalent. And often statistics don't show that part of social deprivation, which is being cascaded. So from there, she introduced me to some community partners and we really got the ball rolling on supporting that agenda. So what underpins this? It's the social value measurement. I'm not sure if anyone on the call knows about TOMS, Themes, Outcomes and Measurements. They are something I work extremely closely with, and they are a quantity to measure social value. So after the 2012 Social Value Act, the government thought everyone's doing this really in a very ad hoc way. We need a streamlined version to understand and put a proxy on the deliverables that businesses or community sector is doing. So a national social value task force was set up between Social Value UK, Social Value Portal and Group Social Value Advisor for the government, and they created TOMS. So NT is National TOMS, so that's an abbreviation on abbreviations, doing well there. But what it does is it gives us, as I said, a proxy that we can measure against the project value, and we can then report it back to clients so that they can seamlessly see, compared to our competitors, what we are doing within the space. So just an example, NT1 is for local employment. So when we go on site, we want to make sure that we're employing locally. So that could be within 30 miles. That's how we define local at BAM, but that could be dependent on client. And we'll be working to get people who are not in work into work. There are over 100 of these TOMs, so I'm not going to bore you anymore, but I just wanted to give a bit of context to how we measure and how we report in a quantitative method. So business partnerships, how can businesses support you? So obviously you've got things like volunteering. This is a really commonly seen method of social value that we do at BAM. So I was talking earlier a little bit about that volunteer day. At BAM, we all have a volunteer day, and this is a fantastic way to give back. But we encourage our staff to think outside the traditional methods and use things like their expertise advice. So I'll go in a bit more into detail about that in a bit. Donations in kind, I would say that at BAM in particular, we don't have a foundation, we don't have a pot of money, and this is the reason that this is so important for us to be able to engage with charities, VCSE, CICs on this is because we need to engage our staff in the social value delivery. So things like expertise advice or donations in kind, if we're going to say donate a defib after our site comes down, is really important in getting our staff engaged in social value. Diversity and inclusion training. So we have a whole department here for ED&I. So that might be something that businesses could engage with you on. Spending money with a VCSE. So this is a really big one for us. So if you have a service as a social enterprise or from a voluntary sector that we can use and buy off you and procure through you, that is fantastic to us. We work with social enterprise catering company in Manchester. Just an idea to give of how we are spending with VCSEs. Secondments, so we have someone seconded in BAN at the moment to crash. That is something that we can do. Work experience, this is very prevalent within the construction industry and T-levels and apprenticeships. Training programs, so we have a lot of internal trainers within BAM. Businesses of our size will have a lot of internal trainers, so that's another way. And career support, so a lot of what we do is geared towards helping people get into work. We've got the expertise, we've got a huge HR department, so I guess it's working with you guys and your beneficiaries really, if they need that career support into work. So these are the kind of things of how businesses can support you. And I guess just to know, I was working with a CIC in Wigan, and they said, oh, we just want us to donate pens. We can do that. We'd hope we could do a bit more for them, but the idea of social value really is to make sure that we are addressing something strategically in your organisation so we can reduce the cost of something, so you can use the money elsewhere, so that when we're off site, you can keep funding yourself to buy those pens. So, how to make the most out of them? My top tip of the day, my golden tip, would be to think outside the box. So the most impactful work we can do with charities really is when they start to think creatively about social value. And mobilising that creative thinking through businesses is better for us, and it's better for our community partner. And the reason for that is that when we work with charities on something creative, humans instinctively take more ownership of it, and they take it under their wing a lot more. So now we're going to think a little bit about the requests. Richard, how am I doing for time?
Yeah, you're fine. Absolutely fine, Katie.
Perfect. Good, good, good. So I'm going to ask everyone, please do shout up because I'm really bored of the sound of my own voice now. What do you think BAM does? I know I went a little bit into it, but if someone could just summarise what they think BAM does, please shout up. Ooh, if not, I'm going to have to pick on Richard, and I don't want to do that.
That's fine. I can jump in. So I think, yeah, an awful lot more than I'd have thought for any type of construction company, really, as well. The breadth of not only the services side of things, but the projects as well. And I'm dying to know what you're building in is it the Antarctica as well? So
yeah, I don't get involved in that, but it does seem like an amazing project. So that's a civils project that we've got going under Nuttall. Has anyone else like to come in and Have a guess at what we do. No answer is a silly answer.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have said a construction company before this, but now I would say, yeah, it's more of an end-to-end, almost project management of construction of all different types. Not just buildings, but also the railway networks and things like that. So it's an advisor, it's a partner, it's yeah, construction as well. But yeah, it's a lot
Yeah,
more than just a construction company.
yeah. Thank you, Zach. That's really hit the nail on the head. So yeah, Star Student Award, well done. So I guess the reason I was asking you to think creatively and outside the box is because these are the types of discipline within our company. So we don't put any bricks in the ground. We are a construction management company, Zach. You were completely right there. So these are the types of things. I'm not going to go through all of them because that would be a little bit boring, but it gives you an idea of the variety of disciplines within our business. And there's nothing to say that we can't enable anything within these. We can absolutely engage with our supply chain to do building works. We've done it before, we'll absolutely do it again, but that takes more consideration. So these are the core things within our business. Yeah. So I guess you're probably thinking now, what the hell is that doing on the screen? No, you're not going crazy and you're not in Scouts. My advice to you all is you don't need a screwdriver, you need a Swiss Army knife. So what I mean by this is you really need to think about your business partner. No request is going to be the same more often than not. If you've thought creatively about it, it shouldn't be the same. So I guess in terms of what you need to do is you need to research a company. So really understand their offer and what they do. Ask them about their social value proposal. Have they committed to at tender stage? Are they happy to share that with you? Can you work with them to make sure that they are hitting their targets on social value? What sectors are they working in? Are they working in education, health? Have they got a specific client that they want to work with? What functions of the business have they got? Ask them about the variety of skills that they host within their business. So that's a bit of an idea, but I guess my point is, there's no point in asking us to do some consultancy work about advising on heart disease, because that's not going to be the best fit for either of us, isn't it? So making sure that ask is very specific. And I just wanted to hat tip here Sheffield Business Together, and the time that I had to put it in a very nonchalant way really taught me how to get businesses to do what you want and how to ask it in a way they will understand. They are very matter of fact, and they need things to be delivered to them in their way of thinking, really. So how to get the most out of them? We need early engagement for bigger projects. So if it's a considerably resource heavy and it's going to cost money, we need to be putting that in tender stage to either cost it back to the preliminaries, and making sure that we're putting in sufficient money to deliver the project, and making sure that we can deliver it on time, and with the right partners in mind. So we really need that early engagement. Find networking opportunities. I really would encourage this. If you are working in a locality and you know that there is going to be a hospital or a school, reach out to your local council, reach out to the building company if you know who it is, find out who is bidding the work and get them to consider your VCSE and your proposal. It's really, really important. Or get yourself into the Chamber of Commerce, or at Richard's event on the 27th of March, if I remember correctly. So the next point really is language. And this is really important. So yes, use business jargon and use social value buzzwords like social return on investment. Those things will clock up in businesses' minds, and now one, you know what you're talking about, so fantastic, they'll want to engage with you. And make sure that the ask is very specific. So that goes into my next point about how to ask. So this ask needs to be so specific. Don't say, think I need about 3 volunteers to do a room of carpet installation. That's not enough. We need to know time, date, cost you think might be associated with it, and don't shy away from it. You know, being transparent at the start and having that clear communication is absolutely vital in business partnerships. So really think about that and be as specific as you can. If you can't put a cost to it, that's fine, because if you're going to a business to ask for expertise advice, hopefully they will know. But if you know the measurements, please put that in, because then they'll be able to evaluate whether they can support you or how much resource they'll need to throw at it. This is, and I cannot emphasize this enough, work with us and be involved, please. Please do. I've worked with businesses in the past who've done stuff for a community that they, one, thought they needed and they didn't need. So it was almost like a transplant that didn't take. If you're not involved and you don't tell us what to do and we just do what we think, it won't have that legacy. Beyond that, we really need you to be involved, because we want to engage with your expertise. So that is really important. And I would express in the involvement is that there is a resource commitment that is needed from the community side. It's not enough to think that we'll come in, do it all in a day and leave. That there needs to be a commitment to being engaged with us, helping us get involved, organising things. Well, we'll do the heavy lifting. We need there to be a resource commitment in terms of managing the project, alongside with probably your social value bod like me. But yeah, being really, really clear with that. So I guess the what, the who, the why, the when, and the how. That is your 5 main points. If you're going to businesses, be really clear, and it often works well. So just some examples of where I have used this previously. So I sent this out over summer. We were working in Blackburn to move 4 refuges into one, and we needed the assistance of moving, which is really easy for us because in the construction industry we have a lot of vans. So really specific here: the date, the time, the location. On this one, it was meet at a certain point, because we couldn't give the destination away because of the sensitivities around the refuge site. Description: give a bit of an overview of your charity. I realised that in the last one I didn't mention to be subject matter experts. Please use that to your advantage, and express the importance. And it's on that being involved note. You know, we want you to demonstrate the importance to us. That's really your pitch. We are a business. We do think like a business. So if you can express to us why we need to work with you, and your passion will follow through. And if you're explaining it to me or in an organisation, then I'm sure they'll get it too. So yeah, on the description, just a bit of a brief thing about what they will be doing, and then extra information. So don't wear dirty clothes, and just making sure that no one with a bad back is getting involved. So we just put a note about it being heavy furniture. And then I think in the end, I put 6 to 8 volunteers needed. So that just gives an idea, so that if a team wanted to get involved of that size, that would be a perfect opportunity for them. This next example is a little bit different. As for Wigan Youth Zone, the work that we did, I know Lucy was on the call earlier, so she'll know this project well. So we worked with Wigan Youth Zone to repurpose their staff office space. which was a fantastic project, but we needed to engage our supply chain. So as I said earlier, we don't host the trades, but we absolutely can work with our supply chain to enable construction works for a social value ask. So this one is for painter and decorators, and we asked them to come in, gave a bit of background about who, but again, this is really high level. If they want to have a meeting with you afterwards, absolutely, I'd say really happy to have a meeting and explain further the benefits here. And then the why, so yeah, current working styles isn't working for them and they just deserved a better working space because they're a fantastic organisation. How, this is the bit I was talking about earlier, painting a 12-metre wall in one block colour to be decided. It's very specific. And then the when is on the 21st of October. So, as if by magic, we tried to do this earlier and I failed completely. It was all very jittery. So I'm going to hand back over to Richard, who's just going to show you a bit about this Wigan renovation project. This project was absolutely fantastic for BAM, and the reason being is because it ticked off a lot of those national TOMs for us. So that donation in kind piece, we got 3 work experience students to come in and take photographs and take a video of the whole thing. So we had something captured. We had an extortionate amount of volunteer time, and we got our designers to redesign the space. So we had a big chunk of time on the expertise advice. I'm going to stop talking for a minute and I'm going to let the video do some talking for itself. But yeah, this is the video that Wigan and Lee College students did for us.
Katie, if you can indicate if there's any issues with the sound when I press play.
This is a flagship project for ownership and collaboration and really demonstrates the genuine impact the social value can have. When we worked with Wigan Youth Zone, we really wanted to unpick how we could better their services by using our expertise. Having just built 2 high schools in Wigan, Fred Longworth and Birchall High School, this was really an opportunity for a legacy project by working with a charity that many of the students currently use. But more than that, it was an opportunity for us to work with our supply chain partners to demonstrate to the business the power that we can have through carpet installation, painting, furniture donation, but more than that, it was an opportunity for us to bring our supply chain partners on that journey of social value, and it reduced site teams' deliveries time. Renovating their office space will improve lots of things like workplace empowerment and general service delivery. This office hasn't had a lick of paint for 15 years, and as the biggest youth zone in Europe, it's really that empowerment that we'll see trickle down to service users and beneficiaries who use the service day in and day out.
Well, so at the Youth Zone we have lots of amazing team members that make all of the work possible with young people, and to have an office which is new and welcoming and clutter-free, is really going to boost the morale of the team, and that ultimately will mean that we deliver the best services for young people. So we're very, very grateful to BAM and all of their supply chain for investing the time and the money to making this the most productive working environment that it can be, so that we can be the best that we can for the young people of Wigan Borough.
me and see if I can do this seamlessly first time. Oh yeah, I forget you always need to press share at the bottom of Zoom. We were just talking about this earlier, that I'm very much so a Teams girl through and through. So sorry about that. Slight teething issues. So that is just a snapshot. As Richard said earlier, that video won't be available just because it's in the editing stages with the college students still. So yeah, but fantastic to be able to show that. Move on. There we go. So another really successful business partnership that we've done recently. So Groundwork in Manchester, we did some architectural design for them. This was a brilliant piece to show our designers that they can do more with their skills. We have some architects in BAM, but primarily we use consultants. So we could always go to our consultants to mobilise that work. So 32 hours of expertise advice, and then 4 hours of volunteering. The benefit of this for the charity was that there was a significant cost reduced for when they were applying to their bid, because they've already got the architectural work done. So that was really, that's a differentiator, isn't it? And then in terms of us internally, as I said, it encouraged our design team to use their expertise and volunteer days for some really tangible good things. And yeah, Andy did a great job there. Yeah, just move on. So what is, just before we go on to some questions, what's the golden thread through these successful projects? So for us, it's early inception, writing it into our bids, writing it into our preliminaries, making sure that we have the cost resource to deliver your projects. So if we can get it in early, we should be able to get it over the line if it's the right fit for us and yourselves. So clear communication, this is really important, and it's really important to make sure that both parties know what's being offered, and making sure that there's a dialogue between both of you guys to make sure that you're delivering the most that you can. Making sure businesses don't overpromise and underdeliver, making sure VCSEs upkeep their end of the bargain. One way that you can do this is a memorandum of understanding. I wouldn't suggest this for every social value activity that you do, because it can be quite a long piece of work. But for those bigger projects, absolutely, you know, and this isn't just to protect the business, this is to protect both parties so that they're both upholding their end of the deal. So yeah, that's one way that you can make sure that you are protected, and making sure that the work you have asked an organisation to do is being delivered. Collaborative working. So just to emphasise this piece, we really want to work with you guys. We want to be involved. Going back to that legacy piece, it's really important for you to be involved, so we make sure that we're doing the right work, but making sure that you guys are involved in the process, the decision making. You know, we want you to have ownership over what we deliver. So yeah, that's really important, because you guys are going to be there after we leave site. So we want you to have that ownership through collaborative working. Clear expectations and deadlines, I'd really recommend this. So going back to that MOU piece, you could do that, or going through just having regular meetings, making sure that there's a deadline so you know when you're doing it. And just, yeah, those expectations to make sure that we are delivering to you guys as a business. Often we, although I work in the construction industry, you might not believe, I have no idea how to build a building. I will hold my hands up completely. So I need to go to my site team and say, how much do you think this will cost? So allow us to have that breathing space to make sure if we can feasibly do it. Often we cost things very differently to smaller contractors. So we don't want to do a half-assed job. There's a reason that we have a specific cost to it. So yeah, just making sure that there is that transparency all the way through. And then reporting and capturing. So this is something that I think you can offer businesses. ask them if they want, you know, photos taken throughout. Be proactive in that space. Tell them, I'll make a case study for you at the end. You know, this is your pitch. How are you going to offer them something back for the work that they are doing for you above and beyond? So making sure that, there is that, because we intenders need to evidence the work that we've done, and if you can help us with assisting capturing that data, we can use we're fantastic at this, then that is really, really beneficial for us, so we can win more work, so that we can continue to help and support charities. Okay, so I think we are on to questions. Yes. So yeah, I'm gonna open up now and try my best to answer the questions. So nice ones only, please. No, I'm joking. But yeah, has anyone got any questions that they would like to ask?
So there are a couple in the chat.
Oh, sorry, I'm completely can't see.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I can read those out.
Yes,
but if anyone else wants to unmute, and please feel free to ask. I'll just flag these two from the chat first. I think they were asked earlier on in the presentation. I think they've potentially been covered to some extent, but I'll check in if the person that asked them as well can indicate if it's been answered as well. That would be great. So the first from Janet. Do you make the local needs analysis key points with VCSEs?
So definitely. So thanks for that, Janet. Once we have read through that data set, it's a very extensive piece of research. You know, it's a couple, if not 4 days out of my diary, collating and reading that information. So as I mentioned, that's the quantitative piece. And then really the qualitative piece is going to the VCSE organisations and say, look, we found this, does this match with what you're seeing? Because those data sets aren't always up to date, you know, especially if census they're only done every X amount of years. So we need to make sure that it is aligning to what the community actually wants, what they're seeing, and making sure that the need is